One of the longest tenured head coaches in college football is no longer with his program. Mike Gundy is out at Oklahoma State after 21 years at the program. Dalton, he led Oklahoma State to some of their best years ever as a program, but over the last 2 years, it's been really, really ugly for Oklahoma State. But overall, he has a record of 170-90 at Oklahoma State, but so far in the last 2 years, they are 3-9 last year. They start off 1-2 this year, just not good enough for Mike Gundy with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We're going to break down what went wrong at Oklahoma State basically over those last 2 years, and also some candidates to take over as the next Oklahoma State head coach. But Dalton, it was jarring for an Oklahoma State program that quite literally 2 years ago played against Texas in the Big 12 title game, and now 2 years later, Mike Gundy is out as head coach.
Yeah, it's such a hard fall. Really astounding to see how quickly such a prominent Big 12 program was. I mean, even in some of their more down years, it felt like they were a contender every year in the Big 12.
Oh, they won like 8 to 10 games every year.
Right,
yeah.
And we looked forward to Bedlam against Oklahoma at the end of the year. Obviously, we don't have that anymore for a while. But, I mean, it was just – it was happened so fast, right? It feels like this whirlwind where even during the season last year when we were talking about Oklahoma State, it was just what happened to this program. And I think it's really the program on the whole, not even just what happens on the field. And there was some comments even Mike Gundy made around the Oregon game when they were playing Oregon of, he's like, we don't have the budget they do. We don't have the NIL that they do, right? And it starts to feel like when you get into that, it suddenly was a program at a disadvantage just fundamentally, right, against teams like that. So they're going to have to figure out as an entire football program what direction they want to go in and honestly how much they want to spend, because we're seeing this now. This is an obstacle for some teams. The teams that can handle their budget and handle it optimally and whatever they have, those are the ones that are winning games right now and use the resources in the portal and the NIL.
And he actually took a pay cut going into this year and used that money to use it towards NIL, because he went to Oklahoma State and said, hey, we need more money for NIL to get better players in this program. And they said, well, you're going to have to take a pay cut then, because we're not going to give you more money. So he took a pay cut, and that kind of felt like the beginning of the end for Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. When he took a pay cut to make sure they had more money for NIL, just didn't seem like it was ever going to get better at Oklahoma State. So, yeah, over the last 2 years, like I said, it was jarring just how far they fell off over the last 2 years. But it's still a program, Dalton, that has a lot of really good history in the Big 12, and it feels like a program that could still get back to relevance in the Big 12 right now. Who are some of the coaches that you think could take over from Mike Gundy and be the next head coach? One of them is a former PFF great, too.
Yeah, I mean, you could start right there. Former PFF great, current Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, who obviously is a former Oklahoma State quarterback back in the day. I mean, that's one that I think a lot of fans are going to stump for, right? Robinson has worked his way up the coaching ranks under Sean McVay's coaching staff with the Rams, and then now as the offensive coordinator following Raheem Morris to Atlanta from L.A. So I think Zach Robinson is going to be a big name that obviously Cowboys fans are very, very familiar with. And the other one that's been talked about, in-state rival, Oklahoma offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle. If Oklahoma State's trying to find some offensive production that they really haven't been able to find the last year and a half, it could be one of those two guys. But I think we do have to keep an eye, especially on Robinson as an alum and as such a prominent player that he used to be in that program.
Yeah, Zach Robinson, only 39 years old, so he's a man. He's 39, so I think they'd get another young coach there at Oklahoma State. Also, Ben Arbuckle, very young.
Just wait till he's 40.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
See that?
Get him in there early, and then let him do that famous press conference later on. But Ben Arbuckle, also a very young offensive coordinator too, so you can get him in that program too. Those are two guys I really like. Jeff Traylor from UTSA. It seems like he's going to get a Power 4 job at some point. He's a really, really good head coach at UTSA. G.J. Kinney, who's been linked to some jobs before at Texas State. He actually mentioned it in his press conference a couple days ago, how he told his players in his program, like, hey, I'm talking to these schools. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still here with you guys now, but I think G.J. Kinney is definitely a candidate. Also, another coordinator, Dalton, that has ties to Oklahoma State is Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator at Penn State right now, one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. He was Mike Gundy's defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State before he took the Ohio State job, and now he's at Penn State too. So he's another guy. Maybe Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. That could be another candidate too. But it feels like they're either going to go a really top flight coordinator, but this is still a job that I think could attract a really good Group of 5 head coach too.
The one question I would have about Knowles, if we're talking about money shortages and things of that nature, is that Jim Knowles is currently the highest paid coordinator in the country. So you would think, I mean, look, defensive coordinator at Penn State's a pretty nice job to have, right? I mean, especially when you're the highest paid guy in the country. It's the one thing I would question is if it's not a significant financial upgrade for him, is that a better job for him to take? And I know Knowles obviously has ties. He used to be Oklahoma State's defensive coordinator, but I just do wonder about that aspect of it. Whereas when you talk about a group of 5 coach, or obviously Zach Robinson's a little bit different as the alum and how important he was to that program, but as a group of 5 coach or as a coordinator, somebody that's not Jim Knowles, a different coordinator like Arbuckle or somebody like that, if then the financial upgrade is big enough for those guys to then take that job. But there are constraints, and I think any of these candidates are going to have to look at how the entire operation at Oklahoma State is functioning right now, especially with regard to the budget.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Gundy, former quarterback at Oklahoma State, was hired as a head coach. I think we would both love it if Zach Robinson, former PFF great, would get hired there too as a former Oklahoma State quarterback, the current Falcons offensive coordinator. If anyone's wondering what we mean by former PFF great Zach Robinson, he actually was an analyst at PFF for a few years. Did you ever work with him when he was doing the grading stuff for us? Or no?
I didn't. He was before me. I believe he may have been with the Rams already when I got here in 2020. I want to say he was gone just before that.
Okay. So yeah, he did work at PFF for a little bit before he went on to the Los Angeles Rams. But yeah, that's a pretty cool. Would be pretty cool for us if we get a Power 4 head coach in Zach Robinson at Oklahoma State. But there's a lot of great candidates for them to hire too. Maybe some group of 5 guys. Zach Robinson, some great coordinators like Ben Arbuckle too. A lot of great candidates for the Oklahoma State job, and it feels a little bit weird that we're going to have a new head coach at Oklahoma State after 21 years of Mike Gundy at that program. But let us know in the comments below who you think should take over for Mike Gundy as the next coach at Oklahoma State. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.